Hey guys, what is up? Rennie here. I wanted to go ahead and talk about Palworld, which is coming out in just a couple days. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I'm personally very hyped about the game. I think it's really exciting, the concept, and I kind of want to talk about that here. Why I think it's exciting, and why I also think it'll be really huge. Why I think there's so much potential for this game. But yeah, I just wanted to get like this kind of thought piece out. Unfortunately, I was not lucky enough to get a review code. I didn't apply in time at all. I think I applied yesterday, which obviously way too late. This game has come out with trailers a lot in the past, and it's always been such a funny idea. Before it was literally just Pokemon with guns, but looking at all the footage now, I feel like Palworld has come such a long way, and I think right now it is sitting on just an enormous amount of potential. And let's talk about why. So what is Palworld first? Well, Palworld is being developed by Pocket Pair, and right now at the moment, this game is the fifth most wishlisted upcoming Steam game. So this game is coming out in a couple days on January 19th. It's going to be out on Steam and Xbox Game Pass. And that's actually crazy. It's for Xbox Game Pass. A lot of people have Xbox Game Pass. It's very affordable, very cheap. And you're going to be able to play this game that normally on Steam would cost $30. Not only is this game the fifth most wishlisted game for Steam, but now we're gonna have like a hidden variable. Even if I went to like Steam charts to look at player count, there's always gonna be, I feel like there's gonna be a significant amount of players on Xbox Game Pass being able to just play this game for a much cheaper price. Palworld is an open world survival sandbox, and it features a lot of monsters to tame, and they basically look a lot like Pokemon. If you look over here, they have really similar designs, and we're gonna like break that down in a bit for sure. But there's a clear inspiration from Pokemon. A lot of people are just calling it, Pokemon with guns, Pokemon mixed with Ark survival, and I think all of that rings very, very true. It is basically Ark with Pokemon, but I think that is such a novel. It's such a fun, such a really cool idea. It's very reminiscent of, like those Minecraft Pokemon servers. The only thing about that is that it doesn't look like Minecraft. It doesn't look like a bunch of voxel blocks and, bad animation. This looks like a cool world. Very detailed. The lighting and shading is immaculate. Everything about this game looks super beautiful, and the designs are super Pokemon-esque. I really like them a lot. We'll get to that again in a bit. Now, no one asked for Pokemon with guns, right? No one really asked for Pokemon with guns. No one wanted to just be like, yeah, I want to shoot a Pikachu, right? But the reason why Palworld is so enticing, so appealing as a concept, is because it's appealing in a very similar way to like how Baldur's Gate 3 was appealing. One of the selling points of Baldur's Gate was that you can have sex with a bear. And that's like, that's wild, right? It's like, who would ever want to have sex with a bear? I don't fucking know. But the fact that you could have sex with the bear is insane. That's insane. That's awesome. That's crazy. The creativity, it represents like limitless potential, basically. And when Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that is based off Dungeons and Dragons, it's all about the creative expression and role playing and coming up with answers on the fly and improvising, right? When D&D is so much about that, it's very important for a game like Baldur's Gate 3 to also deliver on that fantasy. And when they say, hey, guess what? You can have sex with a bear. It's like, okay. I didn't know I wanted to have sex with a bear, but I still don't, but that's really cool. The gunplay doesn't necessarily do that on that scale, of course. But if you just look at this, right? The free roaming range of combat, open world aspect, the third person perspective, seeing all these animations fly out, it's real time battles. you are able to like cook this one of the chicken Pokemon, put all of these pals to work, whether or not you're doing things how would you say morally or just working them to the bone. All these ideas are super fun, super entertaining. It piques your imagination, and that's a really good marketing point. And this is one of those like Pokemon Game of Dreams, and it's just really funny how Game Freak isn't the one to deliver on these dreams. Now again, the designs are really good, and I feel like that's a huge selling point for Palworld, and I feel like the designs are really good explicitly because they look like Pokemon. Because it helps you, it builds on that fantasy, that foundation that Pokemon builds. And we're going to look over a couple examples here. I basically looked at a bunch of the pals here, and I have a lot of other Pokemon to compare it to. So first one up here, we got Jetrigan. Now, which one does this remind you of? I think very clearly, right off the bat, just this pose, everything about this reminds me of Latios. Latios, the jet Pokemon right here. For sure, the pose is all there. And the color scheme, the fins, the top fin, the bottom fins, that totally reminds me of Salamence. So it's like a fusion between the two, right? What's next? We got Sibylix. Sibylix, kind of a little generic, or rather like you could liken it to a lot of Pokemon, maybe even Gardevoir a little bit, right? But personally, I see a lot of Nihilego in it, and you have Hatterene as well. In fact, it's kind of funny, but Sibylix seems like a much more like family-friendly version of Hatterene. Look at that form, that figure. Very suggestive. I feel like there's clear inspiration from that. Maybe a little bit of Frostlass too in there as well. Cognito using that Plague Doctor kind of feel. Very clearly though, it looks like a combination between Duskull and Murkrow. Or even Honchkrow, really, right? But I would say like Duskull and Murkrow very closely resembles this. We got Nightwing over here. Now, this Pokemon looks a lot like pretty much any bird Pokemon, but I think very closely it resembles Staraptor. We have Chickpea. Chickpea looks a lot like Starly and Rowlet. Like, I know it just looks like a chicken. It is just a chicken with very cute eyes, but the concept and idea of Starly and Rowlet was, let's put these cute eyes and stick them on a starling, which apparently is a bird, or a baby owl, right? And that's literally what Chickpea is. And very simple design, very cute. Tansy. I initially thought Apom, but looking at Apom more, it didn't really resemble it. What it does look similar to, Pansage. Green monkey. What else do we got? We have Melpaka. Melpaka basically looks like a mix mash, an in-between evolution form, if you will, of a Flaffy, basically. That's how I see it. Flaffy and Ampharos looks very, very similar. Anubis, especially if you look at the way he moves, right? Especially if you look at the way he moves. It's so clearly inspired. The Dragon Ball Z sort of dashing, right? The martial arts stance right here. It's so clearly inspired from Lucario. You have Dynasum. Dynasum, great looking Pokemon. Looks very clearly like Meganium and Gudra. And I look at Gudra specifically, okay? Look at the ears, look at the tail. Now look at Dynasum, that's the name. Look at Dynasum. The tail, how it curls, how it has the long ears. There's also one other grass dinosaur Pokemon that I feel like doesn't have an evolution. It looks very similar to Meganium too. Kind of resembles this as well. What else do we got? We have Robinquill. Robinquill looks like Decidueye, very clearly. And then you have Relaxaurus. Now Relaxaurus is the mascot of Pocket Pair, and it's really cute. It is extremely cute, but this doesn't necessarily resemble a Pokemon, but you know what it does resemble? It resembles Ditto transforming into a Pokemon, right? It's the Ditto Eyes. The Ditto Eyes here, it's like they put Ditto in this world and had it copy a blue silly dinosaur. Now, of course, like this design is used a lot across all Japanese media. I understand that, but I mean, when you have this on top of all of these, it's hard to not draw comparisons. There's a lot of splicing going on. There's a lot of copy pasting, like different features, putting Pokemon in different color schemes going on. And I think that's fine. They're really cute, and a lot of them are also really cool. And I think they really capture that Pokemon magic. I really do. I feel like this is an extension of Pokemon more than it is just a carbon copy. And I also think it looks a lot better than Temtem. I never personally liked how Temtem looked. Everyone always claimed how Temtem looked better than Pokemon, how it had better graphics. And that's true. But in reality, like, the bar wasn't set that high. And the way that Temtem looks is not very good. I don't think it is very detailed. I think the design, especially look at the trainer, looks really bad. I feel like there's not a lot of consistency. Look at this Hoppip clone over here. How many colors they're using. Why? It feels like super over-designed. Like, this is supposed to be a simple creature, but it's got little pads on its feet. It's got 2 pads for each of its petals. It's got this little yellow thing underneath its petals growing out there, and you got a red splotch underneath its belly. It's just weird. I never liked it. It never felt like Pokemon to me. It never felt like an extension of Pokemon to me. It never had that Pokemon feel. This is literally just Pikachu's face on a ball, on a light bulb. But at the same time, it's not cute at all. I feel like it totally did not nail the Pokemon aesthetic or feel whatsoever. I don't like the color schemes they use. The trainers look dumb. If I wanted to play an Island Boy or play an Island Girl, I would have played Sun and Moon. And if I wanted to play a Pokemon game, which is what Temtem is, it's basically just Pokemon, turn-based, menu-based RPG with, it's 2v2 focus, has some innovations with mana. If I wanted to play Pokemon, though, I would just play Pokemon, especially with, like, the way these characters look. I feel like there's no consistency. Like, look how detailed this bird is, and compare it to this dude, this dinosaur. This looks like he's wearing stickers on his knees. I feel like, in contrast, Palworld is positioned to deliver on a fantasy that was set by the Pokemon anime. With Pokemon, there's so much world building that the anime does that the games don't really do, because the games are menu-based JRPGs. With the anime, there's much more creative solutions that are applied to every Pokemon battle. There is Pokemon doing more things than just battling or breeding, right? They're watering the grass, they're working, they are beasts of labor, right? And when you extend that thought process as to what a real Pokemon world would look like, then you start thinking about, well, hey, if they're substitutes of animals, well, I mean, wouldn't you eat them? And to be fair, in the Pokemon world, you do. I think Slowpoke Tail, it's considered a delicacy. You have Cloth a la Hilo just recently with Scarlet Violet. They show that you're basically eating the claw of a cloth. You have the Pickled Toad School and Cucumber dish over here. As well, a smoked tail curry. Like, whose tail is that? Probably a Slowpoke's. Ash and Brock were fantasizing about eating Magikarp. Like, it extends past that, and they don't really touch on the subject a lot. It's only with Scarlet Violet did you see so many references and so many just direct calls like, yeah, they're eating Pokemon. And that's what Palworld explores. And I think the way that Palworld explores that fantasy, how it tries to showcase a world of these fantastic creatures instead of just like an RPG, instead of a game, right? Instead of just a game, but more of a creative exercise. I think that's really cool. Obviously it still operates within the constraints of a game, but it's a lot more open and it's a lot more imaginative. Now, some people may ask if there are any legal concerns, right? If the designs look so similar, do they face any legal concerns? And I tried to look up like some legal background if there were any previous court cases that, like how similar does an IP have to be for it to be a legal concern? And the one thing I did find was the DC versus Fawcett story, or Superman versus Captain Marvel. Long story short, DC sued Fawcett for plagiarizing Superman in the form of Captain Marvel. Now, if you read the comics, you would understand that these characters have different origins and powers, but at least at the time, the argument was that they were similar enough to be considered a copy. It was ruled in DC's favor, by the way. The court did judge that Captain Marvel was an illegal copy of National's Superman. And Fawcett decided to settle out of court and pay $400,000 in damages, which in 1951 is worth more than $4 million. That all said, while Palworld will share a lot of similarities in design, and because its core feature is monster taming, I don't think Game Freak really has a case, since a lot of the design is honestly just fairly typical of Japanese media. Not only that, there's the fact that Pokemon isn't the progenitor, nor are they the sole proprietor of the monster taming or monster capture concept. Monster Rancher, Digimon, Tamagotchi, Yokai Watch, and many other IPs exist that are about as similar as Palworld is to Pokemon, if not more. It would only serve to open themselves to legal action from others. Now, one thing that can be said is that because Palworld exists, I do think that if Pokemon wants to either make a spin-off game that explores the open world survival concept, or just a mainline game that does explore again the open world concept like Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet did, I do think that the standards are raised. I do think now we have a direct comparison to Palworld, which has stunning, beautiful graphics and is so much more immersive in terms of exploring that Pokemon world. The most similar game Pokemon has to Palworld would be Pokemon Legends Arceus. And Pokemon Legends Arceus, to be fair, is a good game. I think it's a good game. I think it was pretty fun. But it did not deliver on a lot of aspects of the Pokemon world, I think, as well. I don't think that they explored as much as people wanted them to. The open world aspect was pretty cool, but just look how bland some of the textures are, how undetailed they are, the jagged edges. Everything has to run on the Nintendo Switch. And honestly, like when you look at this world and you compare it to Palworld, Palworld just looks 10 times better, a million times better. I do think now that the standards have raised for this open world concept for Pokemon, Palworld is just such a very good direct comparison to it now. Now again, this is all assuming that Palworld takes off, that Palworld is extremely successful. Of course, I don't know if they will be extremely successful, but I have a lot of reason to believe they will be. Why do I think this game will take off? Why do I think this game has so much potential? Well, one thing for sure that I did want to touch on was this Palworld Early Access launch FAQ. Basically goes over how much will it cost, when will it release, but one key question that I wanted to highlight was this one. Does Palworld support modding, Steam Workshop? And it says Steam Workshop support won't be supported straight away, probably because it's on Xbox Game Pass as well, but we plan to add it after launch. Palworld is made in Unreal Engine 5, and we look forward to seeing what sort of mods people come up with. So that's awesome. When the devs are mod friendly, I feel like you have infinite potential to please and basically entice so many different players from so many different circles that are fans of so many different IPs, right? Just imagine Palworld, but instead of Pokemon, instead of the Pals, imagine that with Monster Hunter Monsters. Or imagine Palworld, but with Digimon. If they're already saying that, hey, we're already using Unreal Engine 5, definitely look forward and plan to mod this, I can't wait to see what's going to come for it. I feel like if it is easy to mod, and it should be, because it seems like they are very mod friendly, then we're going to see a lot of cool stuff come out of this game. The other reason why I think Palworld will do very well is because the marketing is kind of insane. I feel like the Palworld marketing team is very keenly aware of like what they are and what they're trying to appeal to. This morbid curiosity of like actually eating the pals or Pokemon, right? This is not their ad. This is basically the original meme, how to cook the Pokemon. You could see this on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and it's basically showcasing how to prepare the Pokemon as if they were things you eat, right? We're not going to play the whole thing. Now, they're actually having an animation of cooking one of their Pokemon. I'm not going to play the whole thing, don't worry, but just this part is just, that's exactly, this is Palworld. That feel of it, that is Palworld. right? It's so uniquely their brand, their image. You also have just a bunch of really good gameplay footage that are put together and scripted very well to showcase really cool things that you could do in the game, right? Over here, he's deploying the dodo or whatever, the Mohawk dodo, and he's going to use the eggs as explosive, as a sort of grenade launcher to handle a pack of these black lichen rocks. You have this over here, where he has like a really cute, really beautiful like blue dragon Pokemon just wiping out an entire field with a hyper beam. And then this, look at the animations on this. Check this out. It's sick. He dodges. He tries to catch. It's obviously useless to try and capture this, and especially 2 times in a row, but it's just showcasing the animations, how fluid everything is, right? You have the gunshot or the crossbow, and look at his reaction from getting blasted from behind. You have their Twitter over here, where they are getting like a lot of content creators to play it. Here's some fan art of Crimson Ruse, a Hollow-Star ZN VTuber with one of the pals there. Nice artwork. You have like these nice little trailers showcasing really good gameplay and animations. Just really cool, exciting stuff, and a lot of interaction. Just a ton of interaction. And I feel like too, like this trailer too, with the gym leaders, they look so Pokemon-like. The animations, the designs. The only thing that doesn't look Pokemon-like is how like detailed the 3D models of the humans are. Right? But that's totally just Pokemon flair everywhere about that. But probably the biggest reason why I think Palworld will do really well is because it is a Japanese development company, it is a Japanese IP, and actually I do think that this will resonate very well with the Japanese live streaming crowd. I think they will market and play this game for free. The biggest examples, or the biggest reasons why I could say this, is because just take a look at Hollow Arc over here. Hollow Arc references a server that one of the Hololive VTubers made. It's for their entire agency, right? And the Japanese branch specifically. And it's just them having fun, creating content around them playing together in an Arc server. And Arc is very similar to Palworld. It's about capturing and raising the dinosaurs and surviving and base building, which is exactly what Palworld is about, except it's with Pokemon. They had a bunch of collabs, they had a bunch of storylines, and this was a very fun event for all of their viewers to watch. And if you're confused about this or the significance of this, well, just look at the English equivalent, right, of OTV Rust. OTV Rust is the English-speaking equivalent. It is when on Twitch you had offline TV and a bunch of other content creators come together to collaborate and play on the same Rust server and create and farm a bunch of content about that, right? And this resulted in a lot of revenue for Rust. They had a promotion going out at the same time. They were giving out codes, and they were also rewarding streamers for playing the game with in-game items based off them. So this was a huge event that was insanely successful for Rust, right? A lot of people got on to the game and decided to play because these live streamers got together in this giant collab. And Hollow Arc isn't the only Japanese VTubing event that featured Arc in a giant collaborative server. Actually, that's a pretty smaller one. You could see here VCR Arc. VCR Arc was actually really huge because it accommodated not only just Hololive VTubers. You have Hololive Fubuki, you have Holostar's Roberu, you also have indie VTubers and Niji Sanji VTubers. Niji Sanji is from a different agency, and just anyone that was Japanese speaking and within this circle group of friends were able to hop onto the server, collab, create, farm content, and it was hugely successful. It was really cool. They had a lot of fun. And I do think that Arc resonates very well. It's already established as a very popular game in the Japanese live streaming, the VTubing scene, and I think this game just fits right into that wheelhouse. Now, one problem that I do foresee for Palworld is the scope. I think if anything is to sort of impede or prevent Palworld from becoming huge, it is development and scope. And why do I say that? It's because Pokepair is the company that develops Craftopia as well. So Craftopia is an open world survival crafting game, and it's basically more or less a PC Breath of the Wild clone. You are able to use your character, kind of looks like Link in this shot, right? And you can automate farms, you are able to build bases, and hey, you know what? You're actually able to capture monsters and animals and even NPCs with these devices over here that kind of look like Pokeballs. So it's very much like a mix mash of so many different concepts and so many different ideas. It's Breath of the Wild mostly, but you are also able to like automate farms and build your bases and also capture animals and also NPCs. Kind of sounds familiar, right? Kind of sounds like Palworld. Now, one thing I really like about Palworld is because it's still a little more focused. You have a lot more emphasis in the designs of the creatures. You have abilities for the creatures. They are able to do more things. They're able to help you out in base. They're also able to help you out in battle. There's more focus here. The scope is narrowed down to the creatures and taming the creatures and, you know, building your base too, but it's mostly about the creatures. Whereas Craftopia kind of felt like it was everywhere all at once. And it never felt like there was any depth to any of these mechanics. It just felt like, oh, well, I can do these things. I can capture an NPC. I can capture a giraffe. I can also automate my farms, and I can put them on a treadwheel, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things you can do in Craftopia, but for me, I feel like if your scope is too wide, if you are doing way too many things, if you're trying to implement too many features, what happens is that a lot of these features end up half-baked. What happens is that a lot of these features end up not developed enough for you to immerse yourself in and feel satisfied from playing. So what I hope is that Palworld keeps and stays within their lines, stays within their scope, and develops them further to further deepen the immersive experience, as opposed to trying to shoehorn so many different features all at once. Because what happens then, again, like, you're not going to have that much depth in these features, and they're not going to be satisfying. And honestly, for me, when you have a feature and it's like, oh, that's all I can do with it, it takes me out of that experience. And I feel like for an open world game, that's so incredibly important, is for you to not be, for that immersion not to be broken, right? Now, there is a little bit of a concern as well, because with the Pokeballs, or whatever you use to capture the monsters in Palworld, you are actually able to capture the NPCs. I don't know exactly to what extent, but that's what I heard in a review, and I didn't really like that idea. That kind of, you know, raised a red flag for me. It raised a red flag for me because, again, I don't think you should have and implement so many different features and without caring about the depth. Like, okay, I can capture an NPC. Can I battle my NPCs with the pals? Can I teach it new abilities? Can I breed the NPC with another NPC, right? I don't know. It's just like, it's weird, right? It's like, why would you have that? Just don't. Make it more about the monsters. Focus on the monsters. Develop the monsters further instead of letting you do so many different things. It's a lot better that way. It's a lot easier. Not a lot easier. It's a lot more. It creates a much more full experience. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Those are my thoughts on Palworld coming up. I am going to be streaming this game in a couple days on January 19th. So tune in if you want to see my thoughts on the game live. It's going to be on the 19th at around 8 a.m. I believe. I'm going to just wake up and, you know, play the game. So definitely tune in. Follow me on Twitch. Subscribe to my channel if you want the live notification. But other than that, yeah. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think that this game will take off, or do you think that this game will probably fail like Craftopia? Craftopia is not like a failure, but like not a lot of people are playing this game right now, right? Let's just be fair. Let's be honest. Not a lot of people are playing Craftopia right now. So and it had a lot of hype. Like, again, they're very good at marketing. They're very good at marketing. It had a lot of people playing it at one point, but not a lot of people are playing it right now. And I feel like, do you think Palworld is going to go the same way? I feel like the fact that it is on Xbox Game Pass, the fact that it delivers on the Pokemon Dream a lot more, it showcases the Pokemon Dream a lot more, it's going to take off. It's going to be very popular. And once it gets very popular, it's going to just create that feedback loop of streamers and players being excited to play the game, giving feedback on the game, and the developers, you know, picking up on that flag and being like, hey, there's a lot of people that like this game. Let's put more people into engineering and R&D for it and do more for it. Make more features, develop the features further, etc., etc. So I think this game has a lot of potential. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. My name is Rednew. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.